Hi guys, welcome to the last episode of the year. We kind of done something special for the last episode. Everyone has been, well, not everyone, a few people have been saying they want to know what our backstory is, what my backstory is, how we come to meet Chris from Streamline, merging the companies and how we are where we are today. So we decided to do something different. You've interviewed me and I've answered the questions. And it's just a little bit of a thank you. We've obviously hit 40,000 subscribers. Well done, Alex.
Well done, Alex.
He's doing this now. Right. He wanted 50, but you only got him to 40. So as usual, like and subscribe down there. You know the drill.
He's not getting his Christmas bonus then, is he?
No, he isn't, no. So unless we can add 10,000 on in this one video, which might be achievable. But yeah, so we've pretty much, we finished off the year with the...
Sorry.
This is the third take, guys.
Sorry, I'm busy. I'm so busy. Sorry, end of year, cars going out.
Yeah, so we've ended the year. We had a couple of great builds last week, and this is the Urban Story.
Let's dive straight in with a question. Go for it.
So we started the company as it was called Nürburg, and the vision was Nürburgring, fast cars. And then what happened one day was we went into a Land Rover dealer, and I bought 2 Range Rover Sports and a Defender, and the Defender at the time was kind of really buoyant, but it was still a cost-effective car that people like to modify a lot. So I went online, I went on eBay, various different people. I spoke to some of the people that we deal with today, and I kind of dressed this Defender with all of the parts that I would put on. If I was the consumer, I built this car, and I think it sold within 1 week. At the time, we had a goal to be like Twisted.
Yeah.
You know, they were a fantastic, real crisp, quality brand for the Defender. So we tried to do that OEM Plus look, and one car sold, then another car sold, and we got into a bit of a trend. So we placed some orders with dealers, and you have to kind of be quite ballsy when you're doing something like this, because the lead times on cars, if you do one and it works, and you haven't placed an order for your second car, you've got to wait 6 months for the next thing to come through. So once we knew it worked, you know, I'll place an order for 10, for 15, for, you know, and I think in the last couple of years of production, because sadly just after we started doing that, they announced the Defender was going end of life, and I think we went through 230 or 40 cars in the last couple of years of production. We were building almost like a Defender every couple of days. And it was at probably the early stages of that where I think I had 13 cars on my drive, and my wife was
This was still on your driveway?
Yeah.
Wow.
So my wife was ready to divorce me. So we actually went and got a small 3,000 square foot unit, which I think is a hair salon.
And this
now.
was before me. This was
So,
you and
so there was me, Lee, Adam, my dad, and Dan, who works in who manages parts now. So, you know, some of the original crew are still with us, but yeah, there was only 4 or 5 of us in the building. Then my mum and dad came in to work with me, and they still work here now, which is fantastic. The name Urban, you know, obviously people think that we're urban because we're street and this, that, and the other.
We definitely are. We're definitely not.
We're definitely not, yeah. It was basically because we was urbanising an agricultural vehicle. You know, the focus at the time was only the Defender. We had a room full of different, it was just literally the same cars in black and grey. It was pretty not dissimilar to what we've got now, with just different models. But we got this new unit, and sort of halfway through this cycle, we decided to change the name to Urban. And because we was an automotive company, Urban Automotive was born. We changed all the signs outside the unit, and at the point that we knew that the Defender was going end of life, we was kind of faced with decisions that you know, do we just carry on doing the Defender and just be a little modifier that, you know, that carried on, or do we branch out into other models and be, you know, that modern take on modified vehicles? The manufacturing methods, you know, I don't know whether the guys know, but there's kind of two manufacturing methods. You can manufacture out of plastic and you can manufacture out of carbon fibre. And at the time, we was, I hate to say this, but we was buying other people's product and kind of putting our little additions on. We wasn't skilled in manufacturing. I certainly wasn't skilled in manufacturing. I couldn't even tell you how carbon was made or even what it was at the time. You know, it was an option on an Audi R8 for a little while. But when we went through this process, I got introduced to a guy called Chris, who's now actually my business partner. He owned a small carbon fibre manufacturing company in Northampton, and we met up for the first time. I remember the day like it was yesterday. He came in bald head, he had this biggest beard, and he was like, "What's all this about then?" And we hit it off straight away, and at the time, even he didn't know how to, I wouldn't say didn't know how to, but he was daunted by making a carbon fibre bumper. It was so big.
A full bumper rather than just small components.
Yeah, so he specialised in small components like Renault Clio,
Focus RS
stuff, like the little add-ons that people want to buy. And he came in and I said to him, look, this is what we want to do, you know, and he just looked at me and like, no chance.
And I was just like, whoa. Nah, you don't want to do that. And I tried to talk him out of it.
Oh, okay. Oh, you actually tried to talk him out of it?
Yeah. Or said, go and find someone else. It was just the wrong time.
Right.
Probably like a lack of confidence and probably things that I was trying to nurture and make work on the carbon side of things. It was just like, well, I can't do that. I can't be part of that. So
you're busy with other projects and going from sort of smaller components to full bumpers?
Yeah, I mean, I was used to being involved in, like we were back at the previous company, Streamline Carbon, was involved in French cars and Ford, so small, intricate, detailed type products and components. And then when I first got introduced to Simon, I was like, oh yeah, I've been told I should make this out of carbon, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And I was actually a bit sceptical of the urban thing to start with. Oh, another one. There's the names that you've all heard before.
Because you get approached all the time.
Yeah, so I'll do this, do that. No one ever wanted to put money up front into tooling or big volume orders to make it viable, so it all rested on my shoulders. And I guess I was just like, you know what, I've given it so many years and not had anything out of it yet. It's just, is it just Judgment Day?
So it was a risk then? It was to put trust in Simon and his idea for urban.
Yes, I think on the basis of that, I was a little bit reluctant to come forward. And I was almost waiting for the day, is there going to be a catch? Because this sounds too good to be true.
Yeah.
And they want to do this and they want to do that.
And it's interesting that both directors of urban have come from a completely different background. You with haulage and recruitment and Simon with IT.
With IT,
And you know, now you're the market leaders in carbon
absolutely.
production.
To look back as to what I've been through and what I've learned, but what I have learned is a lot of things over my years in business. It's probably about 20 odd years now, and Urban, as the company it now is, it's kind of like a platform where I can pull all those learning curves together and actually put them to a lot of good use, like whether it be interviewing someone and recruiting people or any other element like manufacturing or that eye for detail that at the end of the day, if you submit your CV to Urban and it doesn't sound now, I've got a keen eye for detail, you're not going to get the job, are you?
Right.
Look at across the board, the people we employ, from managers to people on the shop floor doing it, and everyone knows what we want it to be like. So yeah.
Yeah, so I recognise Yanni as a huge influence in the motor sector. He had a lot of sort of celebrity and football customers.
Take away the social media side, he had a huge customer database.
No, he had a massive customer base.
Before all the social media became big for him, he knew everyone in that sector, didn't he? The VIPs, the high net worth individuals, the football players, the celebrities. So he had a really big sort of following, not on social media, but not even a following, but just a good circle around him that could introduce Urban to the UK.
Right, yeah. So there was a big thing at the time where if Jan bought a car, other people would want the same. It was a real and there was always a big focus on what colour he was wrapping his car next. Do you remember the reveals?
Well, he was an influencer before influencers were a thing, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. And I do remember one. He wrapped one of our. I know I'm going off tangent here. He wrapped one of our Vogues in like cream elephant skin.
I remember. I remember that.
Sorry, Jan. but
it got recognised.
It did. So at the beginning, I dropped to kind of. So I think the answer to your question is, at the point, what point did it blow up? We didn't have a brand at this stage. I didn't really know anything about social media. I think I had 1,000 followers on Instagram. We was, let's say, a nobody. Yeah, we just had a successful Defender program to a completely different client base to what we have now.
Yeah,
and we was trying our hand at modern modification of real premium cars, and I felt out of my depth. So I dropped quite a humble email to Jan one night. I think it was about 10:30, off the back of a friend's lad. He tagged me in a post and said, "Yanni, you should have one of these." And I thought, yeah, I'll take his advice on that. So I actually wrote an email to Yanni and just said, "Look, I'm doing this. I'm trying to break into this. You are who you are. I'm not going to beat around the bush, but do you want a car?" I
was good friends with Yanni at the time, and I worked in London. So sometimes on my way back home, I'd drive through and see Yanni in North London. So I popped in to see him. We were chilling. He said, "I've got this guy called Simon coming up from a company called Urban Automotive," and I saw this black Range Rover Sport come into the yard. I was like, "That looks different." Like, I'd obviously heard of aftermarket modifiers before, Overfinch, Onyx, Calm, Luma, but this was different. I could tell the wheels were different. I could tell the bumper was different, and it had Urban across the bonnet, and I'd never seen it before, but it just looked awesome. So yeah, that was when I first met Simon. He was obviously speaking to Yanni about potentially getting him in a car and stuff like that. And we just struck up a friendship. I think he was always already following me on Instagram at this point. This was 6 years ago. I had quite a prominent social media following already. I think I had about 100,000 followers even back then. And we just became friends and we just started talking. So after meeting Simon and speaking to Yanni, I think Yanni had spoke to Simon on my behalf and just said, "Look, I've got this mate. I think he just needs a chance." I've never sold anything in my life. Academically, I've got no qualifications, but in any job that I've had, I've applied myself to, and I've always worked hard. I've always turned up 10, 15, 20 minutes early. I've always worked hard in whatever job. So I didn't even know I was going to be selling cars. I didn't even consider that. But I had a meeting with Simon. Yanni was there as well. And we just had an informal chat about me potentially coming on board. This was when Urban was getting busier and busier. I think it was about a year and a half, 2 years in. And, Simon had just moved on to the Range Rover product from the old style Defender. And we started talking about me potentially coming on board. And then eventually, I got the job offer, and I didn't think I was going to be selling cars. Like I say, I've never sold cars before, and it was an interesting proposition. But my job that I was in, it was fairly well paid, and I enjoyed it. I liked working in London, but it wasn't a passion. Cars have always been my passion. And to be able to work for a company like Urban, where I could see it was only going to go one way. It was such a good brand, and with Yanni on board as well, and knowing what was in store for the future, I could really see it being quite a special opportunity.
So here we are at Urban. We've got Yanni's standard Range Rover SVR here. So this is it. That is it. That's it done. First take sorted. Everything else done.
I think our launch car was a Merlin Purple.
Yeah, Merlin Purple. I remember.
You was with the
I sold
company
that
then,
car.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
remember. Yeah, so I never knew it was going to be selling, but you know, we
I never knew it was going to be selling.
I thought I was going to be delivering cars for you. I don't know, sweeping the floors, making coffee. But yeah, then I came on board, and that's So I came, I think, at the very beginning of the V2 kit coming out.
So they were like our first Goodwood experiences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So from a car perspective, that's where for me. That's where it started.
Designing and developing your own kit.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I talk a lot about Jan, but obviously I've got, you know, huge love for Jan for the assistance he gave me in the beginning and how close we've come as friends. And yeah, it was just, he gave me a platform and promoted me on social media, but then left me to sort of, you know, to carry on. Like I said earlier, I knew that we was onto something cool, but you know, at every point there's always like this overwhelming worry that you're doing the wrong thing. You know, we spent £100,000 on doing this first sport kit, but it was one car, and when you've only got one modified car, you feel so out there.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the likes of Brabus and Mansouri, and you click on their website, and they've got 50 cars, and their backstory. And for me, you know, there's always these real daunting points where it was the first sport that went really well. The Vogue seemed really easy because the family resemblance. We rolled the Vogue out, and that was cool. You know, we had two, and then I think the Velar came out next, and then I knew that a commercial Discovery was coming, and I thought to myself, you know what, Discovery's not normally that much of a modifiable car, but when they was bringing the commercial version out, I knew that every work person, company owner, company director that hates driving a Navara pickup would want something that's fully tax deductible and like N1 compliant, that it was the obvious choice to make a kit for a Discovery which had,
because there were only those two choices: a nice highly spec pickup or a nice highly spec van.
Yes.
For, you know, people who wanted to run a vehicle through the business. When the Discovery 5, it's based on a Range Rover. It drives like a Range Rover. It's a luxury car, and to kit one of those, I mean, that is probably still one of our most popular vehicles.
That's right.
Isn't
It's one of the most popular, and I almost felt like people were laughing at me a little bit, like almost like, you know,
because no one else did it.
No,
like
no one
all
else
the
did
competitors.
it. The comments on social media were, you know, like, why are you doing a disco? Why? And I kind of knew in the background why I was doing that. And it went on to be our most popular car. I think we was building, you know, like 10 or 12 cars a month. And at the time that was huge for us. So that little run in the middle almost like went like that. It was like a blink in time, because we added 4 or 5 models. They was all of the models that I wanted to do in the Land Rover range. And they were hugely successful. And at the next worry point was doing big things, like I think we done our first like a Bentayga or something like that.
That was a big one, because that's a big car to buy as well.
Yeah,
it's an expensive car.
£200,000 car, and then we invest £150,000 to £200,000.
So you're 400 grand in on one project.
Making a kit, yeah. And it was the same when we went to the G-Wagon. Obviously, Brabus are synonymous with, you know, owning that market. You know, and then you think, oh, are we going to sell any cars? So it's almost like, I feel like we've been on the stock exchange, but going in the right direction, you know, because it's, you know, you get your ups and downs, you make some mistakes.
Well, when you got to talk about your losses, I mean, the Velar, I mean, I don't know whether that was your fault. It just hasn't seemed to be a very popular car anyway. It's a great looking thing, but I don't know whether it's a price point or.
I don't think it's particularly the car. I mean, the mistake that we made on the Velar is, so when we, as you know from the videos, guys, when we design a car, we'll scan the exterior of the car, then in CAD we'll design, you know, we'll sketch, and you know, then I get my 3D guy to alias draw the bumpers in 3D. And what we did, I got a bit cocksure really, and we only scanned
because you're on a high at this point.
Yeah. I thought, no one can touch me. I'm doing a brilliant job of doing all of these cars, and it's so easy, and la 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 la. And we scanned only the front of the bumper. Yeah. So I scanned the aperture of the bumper, but didn't scan the middle part of the car because I was just rushing. And we designed this bumper in isolation. So we were spinning the bumper around on the screen. It all looked fantastic. The bumper looked great. We made it, we tooled it, and it was the first one I tried to do in plastic. so it was expensive. I think we spent £120,000 on the car doing the bumper. We put it on the car and it was this much too low. So we ended up redoing it all, reducing the height of the bumper, and then we redid it in carbon fibre, which we was doing originally. So we lost 120 and then spent another 80 making the bumper again. So it cost us £200,000 for effectively what is the least popular car we've ever done. So you're right, it's great to talk about the wins and the up, but you know, there have been some,
and that's where
some real expensive learning curves in the middle. Yeah. But you learn each time. We still make mistakes, you know. Yeah. We've done one today. Yeah. For the record, we've just done the carbon seat back for the new Defender RS program, and we didn't realise that Recaros come handed. They look exactly the same from either side, but we've got to tool it again.
They are driver and passenger.
Yeah. By this much. Sometimes with press, social media and things like that, it's not what you're doing, sometimes it's just a little bit different. And we just thought, you know what, we're going to do this pink Range Rover. It was Barbie Rosa pink with glitter in the paint.
Matching her horse box, if I remember rightly.
I think so, yeah. I mean, we've done, you know, I like to keep people's identities respectful and, you know, not say, oh, we did so-and-so's car.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of real big celebrities that we've never done. You know, there's target people that I know that like
David Beckham. He loves a Defender, doesn't he?
Loves a Defender, you know, someone like that, you know, is like a god god celebrity to us. But you know, we've had lots of, you know, real high-profile footballers, TV personalities that have bought our car, and as we've gone through the ranges of different vehicles, particularly things like the G-Wagon, the new Defender, it's been adopted a lot more. I think when you're in the limelight, you can't just have any old brand, and it took for us to be at a certain point in our business career for people of influence, and you know, a footballer can't turn up into the car park in a, what car's that? You know, it has to be and that also works for us because, you know, a footballer turns up to the training ground in a cool car, all their colleagues or other players would be like, well, what's that? Where'd you get that from? That's cool. Like, oh, what's Urban? And you know, we see it that although they don't post on their social media, it's in the paper. You know, they turn up to the training ground and, you know, you've got a G-Wagon there and you see the footballer that's driving. It's unfortunate when they crash them, but because it's in the paper for the wrong reasons. But I think when you deal with guys like this and guys and girls in the music industry and TV and things like that, they're automatically getting photographed anyway. So the promotion, you know, the promotion comes naturally. It doesn't have to be through social media. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many that we've built. You know, we have like you say, we have a lot of people in here, and it's really, really good to, you know, get a high key customer. But I think everyone's just as important. You know, our business customers are just as important as our celebrity customers. You know?
Part of my job that gives me the most satisfaction is when that cover comes off a brand new car and you get to see the customers' reaction to their brand new Urban car. And I always, you know, I'm terrible with my customers sometimes because they're like, oh, send me a picture. I'm like, no, wait till the final product when it's all polished up in the showroom. And that, for me, you know, I've had all sorts of reactions. I've had big 20-stone tattooed geezers hugging me because they're so happy with their car. I've had people crying on me because they're so happy. You know, it was only, to be fair, it was only a couple of months ago I had my first tears. You know, she was so happy that she started crying. But that's nice, you know, that's a really lovely part of it. And again, we work so differently to most dealerships where they've already probably come and seen a car, they've already looked around the car, they're sat in it, maybe a test drive. But with us, because we're building them their car, you know, the first time they properly see it as a full package is when the cover comes off. And my favourite thing is seeing people's reactions, because I can only imagine what it must be like to spec a car from, you know, from factory, get all the right specification for you, it's your personalised, and then, you know, come in here and being able to choose wheels and carbon, what type of carbon, what colour and everything else, and be able to talk people through that process is such a cool job, so cool.
So I've got this thing where if I'm out and about and I see something, it could be the corner of a building, or it could be the way a handrail meets. I'll look at lines and I'll see. I mean, I'm not a designer, but I kind of pick up on cues. You know, if I see, I don't know, a new Lamborghini wheel that with a twist and a fusion. It's not a sports car wheel anymore, it's an SUV wheel. You know, when we designed the first wheel with Vossen, the collaboration with them, they didn't really know that we was only 2 years old, and I think they said to me afterwards, if we'd have known how old you were, we wouldn't have actually even collaborated with you. Yeah, they would have only done a white label program for us, but they was really impressed with the Range Rover and the Range Rover Vogue that we'd done. So we collaborated with them with a wheel, and you can see the wheel behind you.
The UV1.
The UV1, and nobody had ever done this fast race spoke wheel for an SUV. And I think our other wheel supplier sort of like said to me, "You're mad," you know. And I just had this thing in my head that I could see this staggered offset wheel on a Range Rover SVR that I just thought would just kill it.
Yeah.
And I think we've sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of those sets of wheels.
And that's one of Vossen's most popular wheels as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
100% in the US. And I think the collaboration ended up being, you know, a two-way thing rather than just us thinking, wow, the best wheel brand in the world want to collaborate with us.
He's like a troubled artist. He is. He's a genius. We've threatened him loads of times that we're going to stuff him in the corner of a glass office so he can just scribble his designs down. But no, best boss, you know, and I know he's going to see this, so you know, I don't have to blow too much smoke up his bum. But he is the best boss I've ever had. You know, we started off as mates. You know, we have to remember that we started off as friends. So it was a fairly easy transition, but the respect I have for him and what he's built, you know, over 7 years is just incredible. But his mind works completely differently. But I do sit next to him all day, every day, and sometimes it does get a little bit stressful because I always know because he's got a little vein on the side of his head that pops out now and again. So I know when to just leave him to it and let him have a little breather. But no, fantastic boss, fantastic leader.
So when it comes to like doing the car itself, you know, I'll walk past an Audi S5 or something like that, and there'll be just a small part on a bumper with a couple of flutes that come out the back, and I'll take a picture of it because it's so much easier to explain what you want to the 3D CAD team. Yeah. When you can say, you know, this corner and this aperture and this, you know, if I've got some visuals, and I think that if you make adaptations of things that are already on the market, people see it in like plain sight, and it's almost like familiar.
But you saying you're no designer, but also, you know, I sit next to you and I look across and I see you with your iPad and you're sketching stuff out. So that you obviously do get those from your head onto like a canvas, and then you give that to the 3D guy or the designer and say, look, that's my vision, that's how I want it to sort of look.
Yeah,
and then
I do that. I do basic sketching and things like that. I think once we'd established the urban look, and we've taken this family resemblance through, I find it harder now. I find it harder now to break away from what feels familiar.
The V2 kit and what we've done before.
And obviously, you know, it's the dawn of the release of, you know, the new Range Rover, and I haven't done anything yet because I've got block. I'm blocked off.
Because you want it to look like an urban, but it's got to be different.
Yeah, I'm seeing what we do at the moment, which is wrong, and I think I need to. I think I need to spend some time with the car and just sit in front of it and look at it and take it apart, obviously.
So you in a room just with this Range Rover, just looking at it, and then just hope something just.
Yeah. I mean, it's a difficult thing because we try. The design ethos that I've always wanted to adopt is like OEM Plus. It's our thing. We always promote it in our videos. Yeah. And what I've tried to do is convert people that were purists. I almost like feel a sense of accomplishment when someone comes to me and says, you know, I used to hate modification.
You can ruin a car with a body kit.
Of course you can. Yeah, there's space for big, powerful, garish body kits. You know, Huntington Beach in California. You know, with these rap stars and things like that. There is a space for that. I'm not discounting that, but where we fit right in the middle is just this. Oh, that looks like it should have come out of the factory, but it looks different. It looks different. It's got these design cues. The carbon fibre is opulent. It's, you know, it looks a lot more money than it does normally.
I think the V2 kit, a V2 Sport could sit in a Land Rover
Oh,
garage
yeah,
with Range Rover lettering on the bonnet, and someone would just think it was some kind of special edition. They wouldn't go, oh, they've put a horrible big body kit on that car.
That's right, yeah.
And that's why, you know, the OEM Plus look has always been the design mantra, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think the most out there we've ever got is the G-Wagon, but that's just because it's that kind of car, you know. With everything else, you know, it's these smooth, you know, complementary OEM lines, you know. We're just about to do the Cullinan, and that's sort of bordering between the two, you know. I think we're probably going to make some Cullinan owners be sick, you know, but yeah, you can't always win. I've gone backwards and forwards on that project, and I think we've redesigned the front bumper about 15 times. The rear we nailed in one shot. So,
but the trouble is, there is always going to be someone that doesn't like it. But then I think a lot of people are going to love that car.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with design is you've always got to try and be fresh, and it to the detriment of making money or margin, that has to come secondary. You have to basically always give the public something new all of the time. You know, running a social media account myself, I actually feel guilty. Is that right or wrong? when I put content out that isn't new and fresh. Yeah. Because people, you know what it's like. We look at things. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. Yeah. You know, you strive for the wow factor, and you can't always do that when you're having to tool, you know, £200,000 kits on cars. You can't do that every month. You have to do it every once in a while. So we tried to portray the experience on our YouTube channel now, and people seem to be enjoying it.
It couldn't really be any better with what we've got going right now in terms of how everything just kind of gels.
Good team.
Yeah, it is really, obviously the amount of teams, because it's one big team, like 70, 80 members of staff we've got now, but there's all these different teams and teams within departments, from paint and prep to manufacturing and laminating and trimming and the workshop and vehicle prep and the wrap bay.
Because of course you would have been involved with building this team as well, because when you first started there would have been, what, 10 to 15 people?
Yeah.
When I started there was about 10 people, so 10, 15, 20 people, and now we're at, what, 80 members of staff?
Yeah, it's approaching 80.
And you would have interviewed nearly every one of those people, so you know yourself that you've created a fantastic team in Urban.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm proud of who we employ and all the effort that goes into that final product.
You know what? I don't think I wouldn't be in this position without, and I said it before about the people, but the team around me. You know, the people that build it, paint it, manufacture it, promote it, talk about it. Yeah, I'm eternally grateful to the people that are around me, and also the people that supported me externally. You know, the partners that we've made, Vossen, the support from Jan, everything, the whole package is just fits. And I think if we just continue to do more of the same in the same positive way that we have done so far, I think, and I hope that we'll continue to go on from strength to strength and be a globally recognised brand rather than a more UK-based brand. And I think that's my aspirations for the future.